How many of you heard about Walong? Do you have any idea where Walong is? Well, that is well beyond Arunachal Pradesh, a small little place, which is very, very important from India's point of view. The Battle of Walong, where a handful of Indian soldiers defended our country. And it's very, very important. We're going to find out, we're going to dig deep into the Battle of Walong to find out what happened during that time. Brigadier Kuldeep Singh Brar receives Seva Medal, is here with us at the moment, and he is a veteran of many battles, and he's the man who fought that war. So you're going to find out from an eyewitness's account. He's been very kind enough to gift us this book. This book contains all details, not only about the Battle of Walong, but also about other insurgencies and war. Brigadier Brar, welcome to ANM News.
Thank you.
Thank you very much for sparing time for us.
Thank you.
I just want you to recollect what exactly went on during that time and how old were you? You're a budding young soldier, raring to go fight for your country. So where were you and how you moved along, and how old were you at that point of time you started this?
I was, my battalion was 4th Battalion, the Dogra Regiment. We were in half long. We'd come back after 2.5 years insurgency in Nagaland, and we were awaiting our move to Dehradun as a peace station. And I was a lieutenant, an intelligence officer and motor officer in the battalion. In 1962, September, October onwards, we were reading newspapers every day. The things were hotting up along the borders, and the balloon may go up any time. So it happens that by about 4th week of October, we got a warning order that our battalion has to move to Dimapur as a concentration area, because by then Namkachu and Walong and Rizangla, not Rizangla, but other places in Ladakh were prominent in the newspapers. So we reached Dimapur by about 31st October.
The war has already started by that.
War has started 10 days earlier.
Okay.
By 20th October, they had attacked Namkachu, and the Chinese had come along the Kibithu border, McMahon line, and after the firefight, they were at the gates of Walong by then. And there were various brigades who were conducting the operation there. Initially, our battalion got orders to go to Tezpur, to be ready to go to Sela as part of 4 mountain division. That order came on the 5th November night. So the battalion commander, Lieutenant Colonel R.S. Patania, prepared the advance party under our 2IC. About 100 strong advance party left Dimapur by road early morning of 7th November.
You were there in Dimapur at that point of time?
We were there and preparing, cleaning our weapons, doing our sort of drills, battle drills, so that whatever fight we have to do, defense or attack, we should be ready.
How many of you were there?
Our battalion had these 4 companies, the support company. Leave party hadn't come yet, returned yet. I mean, by the time they got the orders or the radio and the trains were chock-a-block, they took time to reach. So by that time, the battalion had about 500 all ranks, including administrative and other people. Each rifle company had about 80 men, the bayonet strength, and others were support. So the advance party of 100 strong left for Tezpur on the 7th morning. By then, we got orders in that evening countermanding the initial order. We were told, no, not Tezpur, we will be sent to Walong. So Walong things were hotting up more. And our GOC, the new division, was also colonel of the regiment, M.S. Patania. He was fond of our battalion, so he bid for our battalion. He said, no, Fort Dogra should not go to Fort Dev, it should come to Walong, 2 Dev. So that's how, then we prepared, we sent somebody to recall that advance party, that never rejoined by the time we got through.
How did you travel to Walong?
By air. There was no road or track. We went to Tezu by Dakota, the Raki party, and the battalion came later on by rail. After Dibrugarh and Mohunbari, thereafter by road. And from Tezu, we were flown in. The Walong had no road, and it could only be air maintained. And there was a small strip for about 400 yards long, and only auto aircraft carrying capacity about 6 to 7 soldiers fully equipped. So at one time on a day, only about 1 to 2 companies could be inducted along with the support weapons. And the flying time was restricted from 5 a.m. to about 11 a.m. because thereafter the strong winds would buffet the small aircraft. So in those 5-6 hours, we had to induct as much as possible. So when we reached Tezu, our recce group, we went on 9th November. 8th November we reached Tezu night, and 9th we got to Walong. And the brigade commander told us that 4 Dogra were going to be the reserve battalion for 11th Brigade. Brigadier Rowley was the commander. He ordered our CO to carry out recce on both sides of the lowest river, East Bank and West Bank. Greater number of positions were on West Bank. By then it was clear the Chinese main emphasis will be attacking along the West Bank. So that happened on 9th November.
So you reached Walong then.
Reached Walong.
Why Walong was so important from India's point of view?
Walong was a very ancient, age-old route for trade between Tibet and India, and it was an important staging post for both the Tibetans as well as the British. When they came in, they realized that this is an important center. Although the Mishmi huts were very few, very small hamlets, not much they were, but valley was very nice, and there was no bridge. The river flowing was not fordable. You couldn't cross it even in the driest period, and only twine bridge with a rickety steel wire rope. One man could cross at one time. At the most, 100 men could cross in a whole day. So movement across the river back and forth was also very time consuming. When we reached the 9th November, things were hotting up more. 4-6 were there, 6 Kumaon. 6 Kumaon had been ordered on 10th November to attack Yellow Pimple, a high hill which are overlooking the defences of brigade and also the ALG, this airstrip. So he ordered that Tray Junction be secured. From there, the 6th Kumaon should launch attack on Yellow Pimple to dislodge the Chinese from there. Thereafter, they were to take a Green Pimple, which was directly dominating the ALG.
Can you recollect one day in your life in Walong, how you as an individual, as a soldier, moved on?
When we went for recce initially, on 10th November on, or 9th on, we used to walk up to the forward defences, ladders, Maha Plateau, one by one each day, and seeing the Sikhs, the soldiers and the Kumaon and the Gurkhas.
Were you armed?
We carried arms, but they were under shelling. The Chinese position was just about 1,200 yards across, Ashi Hill, which was their base where they were building up their strength behind that little hill. And there were the daily clashes with the Sikhs and the Gurkhas. So we were carrying out recce in case we have to replace the Sikhs, what are the positions that we should take. So we used to go in the morning and carry out recce from one hill to another, one position to another, and come back to the base by night. And you're waiting what would be the orders next.
So when you went to carry out a recce, did you come under fire?
At one time, or twice actually, when we were still carrying out recce at Maha Plateau and Lakshman Ridge, and the shelling started. So we stopped our recce, stopped our movement. We took our position in the communication trenches and the bunkers. And when the fire lifted, then we could move around. Of course, you are not exposing yourself to Chinese all the time. Chinese could see, so you have to go through the communication trenches, which are deep enough to conceal your movement.
What was going through your mind at that point of time?
That we would do whatever we are told. If we have to stop the Chinese, we will stop the Chinese. We have to attack the Chinese, we will attack the Chinese. Later on,
did you had any intel as to how many were the Chinese? What was the strength of their troops?
The brigade commander's estimation was initially, when the Chinese contacted the Walong defences on 25th morning, there was one regiment, that is 4 battalions, about 4,000 strong, and they could not make headway. At one stage, we are told later on, it was found out from the communication when we monitored there, that the Chinese regiment commander said, I cannot make headway here, it's like a tiger's mouth and we are suffering casualties, permit me to withdraw. So the Chinese Military Commission High Command said, no withdrawal, we will send a reinforcement. He was sacked. He was fired. Chinese commander, thanks to the Sikhs and the soldiers, the Gurkhas and the Communists, defensive battle. And but they kept sending reinforcements. So
So it is easier for them to send reinforcement than for us to send reinforcement from
yes, because their road came up to Rima. Rima to Walong was about 20 kilometers. I mean, a little more. So it was 1 or 2 nights march at the most. And our one of the positions of 6 across the river, high plateau, could see, not directly, but could make out, because at night the Chinese columns who came up to Ashi Hill from the rear areas, they used torches. So they could count that, okay, 500, 400 or 300 people are coming up. So we knew that the Chinese were building up. So brigade commander initially thought it was 1 regiment or 4 battalions or 1 brigade, which our strength was good enough to stop them. But by about 10th November, the information started filtering in from the information of high plateau. That means he was building up another 1 or 2 more regiments. But ultimately we found out it was a whole division. 15,000 more soldiers were coming in between 1st November and 10th November. So it was a division plus, and ours was the brigade. That's why the brigade commander in early November or in the first week had put in a bid for our 4th battalion as the reserve. Then in case we have to reinforce a particular position or retake or counterattack, the 4th Dogra would be ready. Unfortunately, the battle situation, as you would know, learn slowly, gradually, it ran so fast. It outstripped the planning of our commanders. Yet, Brigadier Rawley was a very sharp, witted, very able commander, very professional and very brave. He decided that if he did not remove the Chinese from Yellow Pimple and Green Pimple, then he would not be able to hold the defenses at Walong for long. So he had to remove them. And the only troops at that time available was 6th Command, who were in the depth, not in the forward area, but in depth area.
So when you were there, you were very heavily outnumbered by the Chinese. I mean, what was the ratio of you being outnumbered? It was
1 to 6.
1 to 6.
1 to 6 to 7 at a particular point of attack.
So
I mean, they were outnumbering us.
1 to 7 you're outnumbered. You have to defend the Yellow Pimple and
No, we have to defend Tri-Junction
Tri-Junction
and other Lakshman Range and Mahaplateau and ladders.
Otherwise, they will come into Walong, and from Walong they can come into Arunachal Pradesh.
Of course, at the plains.
So that is the most important part, is to defend the Tri-Junction and not to allow them to come to Walong.
And defend Walong, yes.
That is the most important part.
True.
Then what happened?
What happened was then 10th, he gave orders to 6th Command to launch attack on Yellow Pimple to dislodge the Chinese from there. The 6th Command had only 3 companies with them. 4th company was occupying a very important bridge, which was covering the approach from the Green Pimple to brigade headquarters location in Walong, because that company could not be lifted. So he thought that he will be able to get Fort Dogra in time, but the Chinese outpaced us. I mean, Chinese were already brought in the division, and they were to attack us, final offensive, on 18 November. With the communist attack going on 14th, they preponed their plan of attack to 16 November. I'll come to that shortly. So 10 November, 6th Command started gathering companies from across the river, from here, and the movement in the high mountain is very slow. And you are going from valley floor about 3,000 feet, 5 feet high elevation, going up to 12,500 feet, and all ascent and no road really. So you are carrying heavy load. So sometimes it will take 24 to 36 hours to reach those heights from where you have to launch an attack. By 13th November, they had concentrated the 3 companies, and that's communists. And they launched attack on 14th, which after 4 hours of severe fighting by the communists, they could not destroy the Chinese because they were dug in. Chinese anticipated, I think. They could see that things are building up all over the place. Their patrols were also giving them information, I'm sure. Their observation posts were giving them information. And when you dug up on the top hill, height, and you are attacking, the Indians are attacking from here,
So you can see them.
Here, and pot shot. So it was a very, very tough battle. But
But we held on.
no, he held on. Chinese held on.
Okay.
But Raleigh could not help it because he had to take this chance to remove the Chinese from there. But it didn't succeed. By the evening, the Chinese had got another battalion up there from the company, from the Ashi Hill, and launched a counterattack, severe counterattack at night, and pushed the Chinese, the commandos all the way back to Tri Junction. Now that's what happened to them. Now I come to my battalion, Fort Dogra. Fort Dogra was being brought in as a reserve. On 13 November, we got the airlift. Before that, we could not get the airlift. Two companies arrived, Alpha and Bravo. Alpha was that time the commander did not know that commander will not be able to dislodge the Chinese on 14. So he sent Alpha company to ladders forward to relieve one company of Gurkhas. And second company was split three ways. One platoon relieving a Kumaon company at firm base on Avalanche Ridge. Second platoon also relieving some command troops. And third platoon went to Tri Junction as part of the 6th Kumaon firm base to help them under their command. So these two companies were split like that.
So basically assisting the existing infrastructure.
Yeah, everything. And the next day, 14th, the third company arrived, Delta Company. Initially, they were told to carry out this artillery ammunition across the river, dumped there. Because by the time the attack went in on 14th morning, 9:30 a.m. or something, the result of attack was not known till about 3 p.m. By 3 p.m., brigade commander was at Tri Junction. Very brave man. He was watching the battle and in fact, in a way, overseeing and telling, okay, dig down, keep creeping up, in the hours of darkness, try to go up. The Chinese were smarter and stronger. They brought in the whole battalion and pushed the whole, actually the two companies and there's another two platoons were sent by the commanders. So about 7-8 platoons, very heavy casualties. And by the night, out of 200 people who went in attack, only 90 could return, 90. 110 were either missing, killed, wounded, wherever. So, and Tri Junction was in the danger of being overrun. If they had overrun Tri Junction on the 14th night, they would have rolled down to Walong, and then the game would have been up very fast, very quick.
Then what happened?
Then what happened was that Raleigh from the top said, okay, Fort Dogra, not to relieve anybody else, start moving to Tri Junction and relieve 6th Kumaon.
So you're fortifying Tri Junction.
And also are defending, so that we defend and relieve. Kumaon had suffered heavy casualties. They were in no shape to hold
So
the Chinese
war
for long.
started at Tri Junction then.
War continued. I mean, Tri Junction, yeah, the severity of battle came to Tri Junction. And the Chinese were at, when we reached there, 40 to 50 yards from Tri Junction. Of course.
So you can see the Chinese on the other side.
Yeah, they were behind rocks. Sometimes when they got closer, then we shot them up. Or when we tried to evict them, they shot us up. So the communists did hold the Tri Junction. I would say they suffered casualties for 24 hours. They did not allow Chinese to overrun Tri Junction. In the meantime, the Delta Company that had landed on the 14th night, Colonel Patania left with Delta Company, whatever company was available. I was a battalion intelligence officer. The job of IOA is to navigate the battalion, to guide the battalion. So I was in the lead at Delta column. And with the orders to Alpha Company, come back from ladders, 6-7 hours march, and then start moving to Tri Junction. And next company, Charlie Company, was to land the next day, 15th. And they arrived later on at midday.
In the meanwhile, the fighting was going on in Tri Junction.
Of course.
Okay.
What had happened was the Chinese before that, between 1st and 10 November, had been sending patrols quietly. It's a forested area, ravines, there are broken ground. If you are on a little hillock here, and there's a forest there, a little hillock there, beyond that, you can have a whole battalion going past, you will not know what is happening beyond that hill or beyond that spur.
So how long did this Tri Junction battle go on?
So they started on the night of 14-15, 15-16 and 16 morning. When we took over Tri Junction on the 15-16 night, then we fought for 9 hours there. Before that, let me tell you that when Delta Company, I was leading them from motor position, the last climb, ascent of the Tri Junction, about 11 p.m. at night. We were about a kilometer short of Tri Junction. Of course, fight was going on there. And suddenly got a MMG bus coming over me and my party, and the Delta company was going like this, and long burst of MMG fire, continuous fire. So I quickly called. Garibal was just next to me. Garibal said, that is the Chinese block. We knew that must be Chinese blocking position to prevent reinforcement going to Tri-Junction or to prevent any Kumaoni to escape. So Garibal said, very brave man. He said, we have to charge through this to reach Tri-Junction. So he had about 80 men, 3 platoons, 80.
80, okay.
The first, each platoon had about 20, 25, and then company headquarters. So we charged. He said, okay, I carried one LMG, and 2 section commanders also handled LMG. And I led the charge, shouting war cry, Durga Mata ki jai, Jwala Mata ki jai, firing as we went, knowing that we will get killed. Doesn't matter, but we took a chance. And I didn't get killed, but some of the other boys got hit. And out of the 2 platoons, only about 35 could reach there, but 1.5 platoons, 2 weak platoons. The Chinese were stunned, they had made way, and so we could surge up. And by the time they recovered their wits, they quickly closed the gap and prevented Garibal's 3rd platoon and Colonel Patana's group to reach up. So they were cut up there, we reached there. So Garibal was briefed by Colonel Madia, and then for the next 9 hours, it was a very grim battle with the Chinese. And the last attack, the serious attack came from them 7:30 in the morning for 1 hour, and with a very severe bombardment, massive bombardment, and in which I got killed, not actually wounded, and some of the boys got killed, and Chinese got close, and they quickly fired with the LMG and killed them and dropped them. By 8:30, most of our LMGs were knocked out. Only 3 LMGs remained active out of 8, 9 LMGs.
Your LMG was working?
No, mine was working. But in that attack, that got also knocked out.
Okay.
So, and grenades had finished, 2-inch mortar finished. There was no artillery support. We only fought with the rifle platoon weapons, infantry platoon, no artillery. And they had a huge number of artillery guns, mortars, and the other guns. So 8:30, the Colonel, CEO of the 6th Mao said that will not be possible to hold the Tri-Junction any longer, because more than 50% of our soldiers had been killed, and most others were wounded. I was wounded, Garibal was wounded, but we were able to move around and buck up the boys, cheer up the boys. Then he said, okay, pull back to Japak Luhat Junction, down to the valley. So Garibal asked him, requested him, sir, you leave first, we'll cover up, we'll give you the cover. So he left about 25 Kumaoni, the remnants of his battalion, at about 9 o'clock. 9:30 he told me, Kuldeep, take your 6. I had 6 survivors left in my platoon, of about 25, the Bravo Country platoon. So he said, 9:30 you leave and go to the junction, Tri-Junction, the bottom, at the Lohet Yapak Junction, and tell the CO this is what has happened here. And he said he would cover. They were covering our withdrawal, pull out. By after 10 o'clock, I could hear when I went down that our LMG had stopped firing. That means the Chinese had made a final assault, overwhelmed his position, and he was probably incapacitated, and the guns were not firing. So that's how the bloodiest battle of Walong, of the Eastern Theatre, ended at Tri-Junction. Fought nearly 48 hours.
Now tell me one thing for the understanding of us and our viewers. How important was this 48 hours battle?
It was very critical, and if we had not fought there that long, they would have come down much earlier, and they would have trapped 11th Brigade, and the 11th Brigade would have suffered the same fate as 7th Brigade in Namkachu. If you remember, the J.P. Dalbois, brave man, and that brigade was encircled with the blocks from behind, and then most of them were killed or taken prisoner. Here in our case, after our fight at Tri-Junction, when we took over from Kumaon, the other position was at Firm Base, down Avalanche Ridge. Firm Base was place that straddled the Avalanche Ridge approach to Yapak Lohit River junction, where the Chinese had planned to put a block there. The Chinese had earlier, the division commander had planned that he will put a block there with a battalion or something and bottle up the brigade and bit by bit either shoot them up or trap them or take them prisoner. He wanted to decimate 11 brigade because Mao Zedong's directive was destroy Indian army formation and units. You don't worry about the real estate, not to capture a place or something. Your aim is how to trap the Indian formation, the unit, and destroy them, capture them or destroy them. So, firm base was held by one of our Subedars, 27-year-old war veteran of Burma, J&K and Nagaland, Rasachan, very brave person. So, on the 16th morning, he had already undergone 2 attacks of the Chinese and repulsed them with his 1 platoon, and our doctor had also put up his medical bunker there, treating the wounded soldier who came from Tri-Junction. By about 11 o'clock or 11:30, he got a message from brigade headquarters in Walong, abandon position, go to Yapak Lohit Junction. Very brave, loyal, determined JCO. He said, how can I go? My CO Colonel Patani is still ahead. My battalion is still here, Delta Company, Alpha Company, bro. I will not withdraw unless they come. So he did not withdraw. He did not abandon the position.
So when the Chinese overran Tri-Junction and you withdrew to Walong, was that the end of the thing or?
No. Battle continued till evening of 16th.
Okay.
Now, this was not a battle in isolation of a Tri-Junction or Avalanche Range, because the rest of the places also, one brigade was tackling Tri-Junction, Avalanche Ridge and all these positions. Second brigade was tackling West Ridge and other positions in depth. And also the fourth position in the forward position, Ladders, Mahaplateau, Lakshman Ridge with the Gurkhas. So all these positions were being tackled at the same time with the Chinese. It was incredible that firefight was going all over,
Okay.
whole of the brigade side.
Did you manage to stop them?
Yes, only partly and for a while, not the whole while.
Okay.
You can see this map.
Huh.
This is Ashi Hill, that's the Chinese base. Tri-Junction is here.
Okay.
So, one brigade was attacking to capture Tri-Junction. Then he was to go along the Avalanche Ridge and put a block here.
Okay.
Lohit River, Yapak Nala Junction. And Walong is this way.
Okay.
And this was the yellow pimple. When the communists attacked here and they could not succeed, they were pushed back by the Chinese all the way to Tri-Junction. The green pimple also then had another brigade which was knocking off this Kumaon company at West Ridge, and they wanted to get to Walong ALG,
Okay.
so that they can take up ALG and then stop any flying in from the aircraft. And third brigade was already, this is the forward positions, Ladders, Mahaplateau and Lakshman Ridge. And there were also fight going on here. And other brigade, third brigade was across the river, High Plateau, the Sikhs, Dong Plateau and Dong Hill.
Got it. I understood.
So the firefight was going all these places, the vicious fighting. And our soldiers, we knew that we were going to die. When we went up to Tri-Junction, we knew that we may not come back alive.
How did the war end?
So the firm base was the last position to fall. Rasanchand did not abandon, and he died fighting. All wipe out, last man, last round. When I went back there after 3 months to recover their bodies, I was stunned to find Ratanchand, Dr. Subha and 26 other soldiers of his platoon, all of them recovered from the bunkers with the heaps of cartridge cases lying there. The entire position had fought last man, last round. With the result, the Chinese were prevented from putting a block there
Okay.
at Tri-Junction.
And that is the most important thing.
Important, and consequently, the brigade could pull through, escape through that area
And that's the
from various positions, from the Sikhs and other places.
and that's how when this was
That's where the 16th, 17th night the war ended, and the Ratanchand position was the last to fall,
okay.
and the Chinese could not come there till 17th morning. By then, 11th Brigade had escaped through
Okay.
that. That is the significance of Fort Dogra's action of 2 companies. I want to highlight Kumaon lost about 120 men in 30 days battle, right from KB2 here. Sikhs lost about 85 men in about 27 days battle. A very ferocious fight they put up. We lost 109 men in 24 hours battle. 109 men. 42, 45 Delta Company boys killed, and similarly Bravo Company at firm base and various places, and other company, Alpha Company and others. And so 109 killed and 23 wounded. Almost 150 people within 24 hours. It's a great, huge intensity of attrition in a
And
short
how
time.
many Chinese soldiers you think?
You can't
were
count. I'd say at least 3 to 4 times, minimum.
So 3 to 4 times the number of Indian soldiers who are martyred,
Yes,
Chinese soldiers were killed.
yes.
So and you managed to hold them back. Then there was the end of the war, and they could not overrun Walong.
No, they did. By the evening, they had overrun Walong, but Walong to that Yapak Lohe junction is about 5-6 kilometers.
Okay.
So there were some, when the people withdrew, our Sikhs and Gurkhas and Dogras and others, it was a fighting withdrawal. It was a section, platoon, group fighting back at the Chinese. Some people are getting killed, some people are delaying the Chinese. So the Chinese are getting delayed, also getting killed, and our Indian soldiers were pulling out, also getting killed in the process, some of them, but otherwise able to make way. So the Chinese were delayed from entering Walong till the night of 16, 17.
Okay.
And Walong to this Yapak Lohe junction, which is the checkpoint of the brigade, is about 5-6 kilometers. You can't make it in one night again because there was shelling going on and other stuff. They only could come to the next day. By then, these people streams coming from our 11th brigade and going through that and escaping through that junction.
Okay.
And thereafter, of course, the brigade pulled back stage by stage. One battalion holding a delaying position to keep the Chinese at bay, so the Chinese don't overrun this column that is going, the brigade column. And then Dogras, Sikhs and Kumaon took turns. And the Chinese gave up the fight. Beyond Yapak Lohe junction, they could only go about 10 kilometers. And by then there also the things were on. I mean, they suffered huge casualties. They were not able to pursue the operations further, offensive operations. So that's why we put a block of that division commander was humiliated and disgraced by the Chinese Military Commission, that why did you not trap 11th Brigade? Why did you allow them to escape?
So at the moment, as of today, we have Walong and the map, the places, the retry junctions and other places with us.
Yes, and we are strongly held, holding strongly. We learnt a lesson.
So the Battle of Walong showed the resilience of the Indian Army despite a very, very superior infrastructure with the Chinese.
Yes.
The Indians held on, and then as of today, as we speak, as we talk about, as we go beyond and walk down the memory lane to those days in Walong, we hold that place on very, very firm hands. Is that
Yes,
correct?
true. Let me clarify one thing. We are very strong this time, much stronger than 62. But China is also stronger than what he was in 62. His weaponry, his missiles and other stuff, and also drone. The warfare has changed. The complexion or the picture of, or the concept of warfare has changed. We also keeping pace with that. So our people are aware what they are to contend with, what they are facing. So we would also defender in the mountain is at an advantage. If you get time, we didn't get time to prepare our defenses in Walong. Otherwise, had we had more time, the bunkers were properly made, then Chinese would not have been able to make headway. But
So despite the adversity,
the trenches that we occupied in Trijang were this deep. The rest of the body was all up.
so there are no planning. You are just caught.
Yeah, we are like a fire brigade.
Like a fire-
You just put
absolutely.
there, put
Yeah.
there.
So despite the adversities, you bravely, the Indian soldiers bravely carried on the fight, and and whatever
Certainly.
defended their land,
Yes.
and we got it back today as we speak. The Walong stands.
Yes. In Walong, 11 brigade troops, 466 Kumaon, 4 Dogra, 38 Gurkhas, proved to Chinese and to the people that China man is not a 20 feet tall monster. He could be tamed, he could be checked, and he could be also held back. And our people are very, very brave. At Time magazine had said that Indian troops in Walong lacked everything, but not guts. They had abundance in guts.
Absolutely, Brigadier Kuldeep Singh Brar. It was a wonderful experience reminiscing the days, the fights in Walong, and I'm sure the people of India, and on behalf of the media of India, I'm sure we are very, very grateful to you for holding on to the Chinese despite numerical disadvantage and inferior quality of weapons at that point of time. Definitely, you never had the kind of weapons that the Chinese had.
Yes, certainly.
And you have always have to fight all of a sudden. So you just there's no planning involved in that. Despite that, and as you speak, the places that we fought, the places that were at the center of controversy stand tall with the Indians, with the Indian troops firmly settled in
Yes.
those areas. So that was what we heard from the horse's mouth, from a person who fought the war then, braved the bullets of the Chinese, killed Chinese soldiers despite so many difficulties, so many adversities. We are definitely proud of soldiers like Brigadier Kuldeep Singh Brar. At ANM News, we'll definitely bring you more such stories from the brave hearts who fight along the enemy lines. Walong stands tall with the Indian flag flying high. With camera person Chitra Bhanu Pathak, this is Avijit Nandi Mazumdar for ANM News.
আরও খবরের আপডেট পেতে সাবস্ক্রাইব করুন আমাদের ইউটিউব চ্যানেলটি আর বেল আইকনে ক্লিক করুন নোটিফিকেশনস পেতে।